Well, hello, everyone. I'm Sean Morton, SVP of Strategy and Services at Trellix. And joining me today is Ashok Banerjee, the CTO of Trellix. Ashok, it's always great seeing you. Thanks for taking the time today. I know you've been quite busy these past few weeks.
Thank you, Sean. Very excited for the session. Look forward to the conversation.
Great. Well, since the CrowdStrike outage, Ashok, on July 19th, Trellix and you and I and many others, we've been working overtime to help mutual customers who might have been directly affected get back to normal operations. It was quite messy for a few days, but what I loved was seeing the entire cybersecurity community lean in hard to support all customers wherever possible, and it's really been amazing. And as we've engaged with customers on this outage, we've had many good questions about what happened, whether this could happen to Trellix, what changes should be made in the cybersecurity industry to prevent this from happening again. Now, of course, many other conversations and debates are happening around things like cyber insurance coverage and liability and the burden of fault. We're not going to get into those today. We'll let the legal experts handle those over the coming weeks and months. But Ashok, you've been front and center leading many of our technical conversations around this outage, and I thought it would be great to hear from you on those elements. But before we get into that, I'd like our viewers to better understand who you are. You have an incredible and extensive technical background. You've held roles at Oracle and BEA and Google, Twitter, Symantec, VMware, and others. And as Trellix's CTO, I'm curious how your background has helped you navigate what's happened recently, how you've used it to unpack and understand this event.
Thank you, Sean. Very relevant. So I spent 7 years at Symantec, endpoint products, lots of different products, both consumer and enterprise, and now Trellix. And it helps me understand endpoints and the concerns well from the largest of customers and the lenses they apply, and all the corner cases that could happen with that sort of footprint. I also have the other experience at Google, Twitter, Flipkart, and Oracle to help me on scale and large data systems. In brief, I remind the teams with endpoint products that we have great powers. We have powers to disallow a process, disallow file access, disallow network access, inter-process communication. We ship products, but fundamentally we ship trust. With great powers comes great responsibility. And responsible security is absolutely critical.
Yeah, that's spot on. And just hearing you now and listening to you the past 2 years at Trellix, I've learned a lot, especially in these past 3 weeks. Everyone's been asking what happened. It's the first question I hear when I talk to customers or I talk to my friends or even my family. CrowdStrike just put out their formal RCA, but I still see a lot of debate and lingering ambiguity and questions about exactly what happened. And my perspectives are, while QA mishaps in the testing and release processes are important, and I appreciate CrowdStrike's focus on that, there are also some fundamentals around architecture that we need to better understand. So I've appreciated your clarity when you've broken it down to me. Can you share with everyone how they should best understand what exactly happened?
The RCA has impressive amount of details, and yet some things were not quite clear. At the heart of it, it's kernel space and user space. When things go wrong in the user space, the process crashes. Sometimes we have automated systems which will restart the process. Even if restarting the process didn't work, we have SCCM, we have administrative control on the machine. So we can change things, we can fix things, we can reconfigure things. You have administrative control on the machine. When things go wrong in the kernel, the operating system crashes. It's a blue screen of death. You've lost administrative control. Now you need ladders to reach those machines, connect, monitor, screen, and interrupt the boot sequence and do things like that. We all in cybersecurity have to do some things for visibility, some things for enforcement. But the key principle I remind the teams, respect the kernel. Minimize the kernel space logic, because things you do there could go wrong someday, and when that goes wrong, it is a challenge. It is a much bigger challenge. It's a blue screen. Administrative control is lost. Minimize flux and changes in the kernel. Don't write complicated interpreters of virtual machines to change kernel logic. Certify the kernel changes fully in the spirit of the stringent Microsoft certifications. It's quick to write an interpreter or a virtual machine, which will be general purpose and apply some very quick flux changes in what really happens in the kernel. But fundamentally, respect the kernel, keep that logic simple, keep that logic small, and do the minimum you need within the kernel for the visibility and enforcement.
It's incredibly helpful. And I agree that the breakdown between user and kernel mode is really vital to understanding what happened here. Let me shift a little bit now to Trellix and what we do. So besides what happened, Ashok, the other question I hear frequently, and I know you do too, is could this happen to you? Could this happen to Trellix? Help me unpack that question. And before you answer, I think a lot of it has to do with this idea of trust and a feeling that trust overall right now in the cybersecurity community has been eroded a bit. I don't want to go into specifics about CrowdStrike here. Instead, what I want to do is focus on how does Trellix maintain trust and how do we approach things a little differently?
I think the biggest few things, complete control and transparency with the customers. If a customer does not want to take daily updates, they don't. For whatever reason, Tuesday is absolutely critical. They have a choice. We want them to take the daily updates. They have a choice. Everything that changes should be possible to test. Canary release, gold image, that you can test against your custom gold image for a large company so that nothing could possibly go wrong either in performance or in blue screen or any other form. They can test it out with custom tests and then full scale. So customer control is big. Full transparency with respect to daily updates and the daily updates not impacting the kernel. It's interpreted and everything's done in user space. So that's a big difference because on a day when, God forbid, something's wrong, it's in the user space, not in the kernel. Phased updates. So it's a rollout. It's not a simultaneous deploy globally. It's a phased multi-step rollout with ability to take back a full daily update with the ability to correct small things. And it's basically summarized, I think, as responsible security. Much more guarded against the black swan events.
Yeah, thanks for that breakdown. I love that idea and that concept around responsible security. I think we all can do more as a responsible cybersecurity community, and certainly this outage is going to help force that focus a bit more for everyone. Okay, last set of related questions. These are sort of a bundle, but what's next? Where do we go from here? What should CISOs and companies consider when evaluating cybersecurity vendors?
I think once again, yes, a lot of CISOs have started asking very detailed questions. It's responsible security. Transparency around what goes into the kernel. What content updates happen when? Customer choice to accept, because customers are trusting us and they're fundamentally accepting the consequences. Architecting for resilience. Once again, kernel mistakes, blue screens. User mode mistakes, application issues. Don't do more than you need to in the kernel and being transparent. One day when something goes wrong, it's not in the kernel. Don't flux things in the kernel. Don't change with daily updates what's actually happening in the kernel. I think those are the big principles, and being transparent with the customers, giving customers the maximum choice, going through responsibly with the certifications. Those are the big few things.
Well, Ashok, as always, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for both your technical insights and your overall perspectives. And thank you everyone else for listening. We still overall have much to learn and discuss and improve on from this event. As this evolves and we learn more details are going to be shared in the coming weeks and months. But in the meantime, I hope you found this valuable in furthering your understanding of what happened and how Trellix does things differently. To learn more, please see Trellix on LinkedIn or at Trellix.com. Cheers and stay safe.
Thank you.